Right, we have people joining in now. The material is now live, and the screen shows we're starting in a few minutes. Hi, everyone. For those of you joining online, we are going to be starting in a very few minutes. All right, we have over 30 people watching the live stream now. Let's wait maybe 1 or 2 more minutes, and we should be starting very soon. Hello, welcome everyone. This is the training done by Web GDEs for developers in Southeast Asia who are very keen to be certified on mobile sites. Why are we here, and what is it about that we are interested in today? It is all about mobile site certification. It is a professional accreditation that Google is offering to individuals for their basic and intermediate skills on website development, especially those which are optimized for mobile. There are certain levels of modules that we will go through, and after that, there is an examination. As an attendees, you can take up the examination, and after you answer the questions, you will basically get a certificate from Google. That is the most interesting part of this entire exercise. Google has not previously offered a certificate for beginner level at for their skills on mobile sites, and this is the first opportunity. So please take good use of this. Make good use of this opportunity. What does this material cover? This covers the reason why you should create optimized mobile sites, how you can improve the mobile site speed, How do you design a mobile-friendly website? And what are some of the advanced web technologies that you as a mobile developer can use to improve the entire experience for an end user visiting your mobile site? Who is this intended for? Anybody who has basic HTML, CSS, and JavaScript understanding. It could be students or developers who are looking to build websites that are friendly on mobile, or those who just want to get their skills on mobile development, mobile web development certified, can all take advantage of the material presented today. Like we said, after the training run by the Web GDEs, you can take up an examination. It is a free examination and you get a digital certificate if you pass the examination. On the right side, you see an example certificate, and this is exactly how your certificate might look like after you pass the examination. A little about the exam itself. It consists of 65 multiple choice questions or true or false questions that you have to answer within 90 minutes. If you get a score over 80%, you basically are awarded the certification. If you are not able to get a score over 80%, you can take a re-examination after a period of time. All right. With that, I hope you basically enjoy this 1 to 1 hour 20 minutes training on mobile website certification, and it basically is valuable for you as you embark on a journey of creating mobile friendly websites. I'm now going to hand it over to Jesslyn, who is the first speaker, and she is going to speak on mobile sites and why they matter. Over to Jesslyn.
Oh, sorry, I'm on mute. So, can everyone see my screen? Hello? All right. All right, so we'll start with module 1, which is covered the basics of mobile site and why are they matters. Okay, first, we need to start with why do we browse the website? So normally we browse the website because we want to do something, for example, like looking for informations, or we need to buying stuff or planning travels. And we go to the website because it can access everywhere and anytime, that as long as you are online. And the good thing about website is you don't need to install. It's not like Android or iOS apps that you need to install in order to use. Website is just it's always one URL away. Okay, then the next thing is, why do you browse website from your mobile? As you know, there are more and more users browsing the website from your mobile. I think it's the same for you. And why actually this happened? And there are basically 3 points that why user engage with mobile site, because it's actually easy to discover. You just take your mobile phone and then just open the URL, then you get to what you need. And it's actually lightweight and it's very intuitive. And because the user already familiar with how website works, you go to the address bar and then type in the URL. So it's actually very intuitive and very user friendly. Okay, so what are the benefits of the mobile websites for the business? As a business, like, why should you create a mobile website? Okay, there's actually two ways of seeing this. The first is because it's easy, and the next reason is because of money and time. So because for mobile website, it's actually built once and run everywhere. So you can build a website that runs in your desktop and run in your mobile, and or run in your tablet. It's actually runs everywhere. And the web is open. There's no one actually controlling the web. It's not like native application, which Google's control Android and Apple control iOS. But web is actually standard. It's open. Everyone can just create a website. You don't need to go through some approval process. And the tracking is very simple. Even with Google Analytics, you can just add in some Google Analytics too to help you to track like how the user engage with your website. Are they buying stuff? How long they are buying stuff? All this information is very trackable if you are developing a mobile website. And in terms of money and time, and it's about adaptability and short development time. So imagine you can find someone, a web developer, to develop a website, and you just need to build once and it's available from all the others device. This actually indirectly lower down your development costs because you don't need to develop platform specific applications. Okay, so let's talk about user expectations. What do you expect when you browse to a mobile website? So let me start with a story. So, sorry. So this is my Gmail. So another GDE, Vince, is actually sending me an email saying that please come to Penang for some nice food and for some event. And I said, yeah, why not? Then I click on the link and it's redirect me to a website. It's just open the browser and then open it. And then I just want to see like what is actually loading. Then it's actually take longer time and load and load and load. After I seeing the website is showing that the food that I like, which is char kway teow, there's actually pop up some random advertisement. They're saying that, hey, please get an apps to continue. And then after that, I say no. Then the other apps pop up that's saying there's something that's totally unrelated, which is ask me to buy a chili sauce or something, which is not fun. So this is actually not not the way that we're supposed to build our website, because as a users, we always expect, if you are standing from the user standpoint, we always expect that you go to the website, it's actually achieve your purpose instead of popping up all the unnecessary advertisement. Okay, then we also need to talk about something a little bit about the website obesity crisis. So just that you don't know, so 10 years ago when the website first developed, so each of the website is very lightweight. It's only about 390 kilobyte to load the website. So the download speed is really fast. But nowadays, like for all the website, because you are adding in more and more and more code and more JavaScript and CSS, all those stuff, the average page served to mobile device weight almost 2 MB in size. 2 MB is probably for you, if your network speed is very fast, 2 MB is fine. But imagine that you are in a 3G or probably 2G connections, 2 MB actually take quite a long time to load. And because of the size, it's actually very, it's very hard for you need to wait for a long time, for like 1 minute or 2 minutes to actually load the content, which is not desirable. So yeah, so we need to develop a website that's fast enough to load and is user-friendly enough to use. All right, next, take a look on where's the relationship between website obesity crisis and the impact of conversion rate and interactions. Sorry. Okay, let's take a look on this. So when we talk about conversion rate means you convert a user from a normal user that go to your website, it gets convert to your customer, which means it's buy your service, purchase your service, or even use your service. So that is something we call conversion. And just if you don't know, the conversion rates is actually lower in mobile compared to desktop. So which means in desktop, it's actually easier for a business to acquire a user compared to a mobile website. Now, why is this happen? So one of the top reasons, so there's a survey done by Google. So one of the top reasons that people abandon the website is because the website is slow to load. And what do we mean by slow? Like how slow is considered slow? Just to give you an idea, anything that takes longer than 3 seconds to load is considered slow. 3 seconds probably for you you might think that it's actually very short. But if you sit in front, if you're just holding your mobile phone and then stare at the blank screen for 3 seconds, it's actually quite long. You can do experiment. Yeah. So the survey that Google done actually state that 60% of the mobile user expect the website to load within 3 seconds. And on average, 75% of the user will abandon the website if it takes longer than 5 minutes to load. So it's very important to develop a website which is fast enough to load. All right. And okay, the next thing, so another thing to remind you, this number is actually quite important for your exam. So like it's actually, you need, if anything that take longer than 3 seconds to load is considered slow, and the user will leave if it takes longer than 5 seconds. And please take note. Okay. So next we'll look into why UX matter. Like what is UX stand for user experience? Why is user experience important for the business, or are they really important? So let me show you an image of user experience that's actually very good to describe. Oh my God. Hold on, let me refresh the page. Sorry. Okay, never mind. I think the image is quite slow to load. It's actually an image. I can share with you later about the image. It's actually best describe what is UX. So sometimes when you go to a website, you want to buy something, like probably you go to shopping website, you want to buy something. And when you're about to buy something, you cannot see a buy button. They actually put, because they somehow, the web designer and the web developer decide to put the buy button in the very below, or just hide it somewhere, which is not obvious. So something like this is considered not very user friendly, and it's not very good for user experience, because user experience means get the user to done what they want to do in your website as fast as possible.
Sorry, Jocelyn, there's some issues with your slides. Do you want to quickly reload it?
Yeah, it's okay, because I tried a few times already just now, so it's still not load. So I think it's fine. So it's just an image.
Yeah, just go to the next slide. It should be fine.
Yeah. So like why UX matter? Because good UX means that you have happy user, because the user can get to what they need when they visit your website. And that means that you have more conversion rate. You can convert your users to a paying customer, which means you can get more sales and more business. So it's actually good. And UX and conversion rate optimizations can open up new budget opportunity by improving the profitability of your client through increasing the mobile conversion rate. And it's actually optimize the traffic that your client already have. Imagine that you already have website that have a pretty good traffic. Just by enhancing your UX, you can actually get even more conversion rate. So with good UX, it's actually lowering the customer acquisition cost, and means that you have more money to spend on additional acquisition. You can use the money that you get to actually put more advertisement and to do others marketing campaign. And sometimes a very small change can make a really big impact. So let me give you an example. So look at this. So just by changing purchase button colors, it can actually make a big impact. Like on your left hand side, the purchase button is actually in gray. It's actually not very obvious that you want the user to buy it, and it's not very obvious that it's actually a button to click on. But instead, on the right-hand side, the button is highlighted in red, means that please click me, just click purchase me. So there's a survey done by Google that just by changing the button color, it can simply increase the conversion rate by 200%. It's just by changing some colors. And you can actually do A/B testing, which means to test whether a certain design is good for conversion rate. So for example, for user 1 to 100, you show the screen on the left. And for user 200 and to 500, you show the screen on the right. Then you compare which one actually get more sales. Then you know that that is actually a good design. All right. The next thing about the mobile website is about discoverability. How do you make your website more discoverable? So one of the things is like, how do you make sure that when you Googled it, it's actually show up in the Google result? You can actually do some search optimization. So there's a Google Essence website, which has all the resources and instructions to help you to get through that. You can check out that after the sessions. Also, you can utilize the social discovery. So create your business via the and interact with your user via social media like Facebook, Twitter, and Google Plus. This will also increase your sales. So in summary, so mobile website support should be the first-class citizen. So long time ago, it used to be when we develop website, we just focus on a desktop user. So now, because the mobile user is actually higher than desktop user, so please support mobile as the first-class citizen, which means you need to really plan your website to load fast and make sure that it always stays fast, and make your user experience good so that you get good conversion rate. So that's all for module 1. Let me hand over to Warat for improving mobile site speed.
Jocelyn, can you mute yourself, please? And Varat, you can take over.
Okay, everyone. Let me full screen my slide first. You saw my slide, or it's small or not?
Yeah, see your side.
It's small or full size? Sorry, because in my screen it's a full size. Is full size. Okay. Okay. In the module 2, we're talking about how to improve the mobile speed. First of all, you have to understand the low bandwidth and high latency, because when you're using the mobile, when you user use the mobile site, is they normally use a connection from network, not from the Wi-Fi. So first thing that you have to know is about the speed of mobile is
Varat,
different.
can you wait for a second? I think your slides are not even showing up. No slides. You'll have to
Okay.
Redo the desktop sharing.
Okay. Okay, sorry. Oh, is okay or not? Sorry.
It is coming up. Please wait.
Okay. Hello? It's not working, right? Sorry, guys, I have some problem.
Can you resize the window of
Yeah,
your presentation so
sure.
that you don't have to go full screen, but it is still full screen?
Okay, give me a sec. Sorry, guy. Okay, no need to full screen, right? Okay.
No need to full screen.
Okay. Okay, sorry about that. Okay. Let's continue. I've I talk about latency and low bandwidth because
No,
yeah.
we don't see your screen still. Wait, that is a problem. We don't see your screen still, Bharat. There is nothing projecting when you basically shares your desktop.
Okay. Is already? I think it's already right.
Now it is okay.
It's okay, right?
Yes, go on.
Okay. Because the mobile space of mobile internet speed and the home connection speed is quite different. So when we develop the website, we use a computer. But when user use a mobile, when user use a website, they use on mobile. So first thing, you have to set up the tool first. In the Chrome, you can do the tossing and disable cache for on. You can choose a mobile speed like a fast 3G or slow 2G, whatever you want. At least you can use your mobile phone, connect with the computer, and use a remote debugging to debug what happened on the mobile phone. Because sometimes I'm develop on the desktop, is not any problem, but when I open on my phone, it's got some error. But you can't get any logs or any error from the phone side because it's not have a development tool on the phones. But actually, you can connect to the Chromes and open a remote debugging that you can find the detail on the developer side. One trick that I always use is I'm always test on 3D space because from the start of the Google in last year, it's 60% of the mobile usage is 3G. Oh, sorry, it's wrong. Actually, it's a 2G, but 3G is a average line. So please use the TG always uses. So when we're talking about improve, is have a lot of stuff that you have to improve on that. Actually, when you ask some guy, they give you some recommendation to improve, but mainly we focus on the three things that we can improve. One is usable time. Just mentioned about the 3 seconds of the is a perfect time of the load time of the website. So we focus on usable time. All of the time that we will mention in the slide is not only the load time. Second is a total request. Total request is if you have is basically is a number of files that you download before the page render. It's just basic stuff. Third one is a page weight. Sometimes you reduce the total request to 1 or 2, but page weight is 1 megabyte or 2 megabyte. It's still big. So we focus on reduce on that. What I'm talking is not only the HTML files or JS file. I'm talking about all the assets of that. When user use mobile phones, is sometimes their internet connection is inconsistency. One way that you can use is you can do the service worker that are one feature in the progressive web app to cache this like a HTML, CSS, JS, image, everything. For help the user, when user got the inconsistency connection, they can get any asset properly. We call this situation on that is Li-Fi. Li-Fi is talking about the connection that inconsistency in some time. So you can try the workbox.js and you can put some line of the code in the service worker. You can do the cachings and offline web with that. So from last lines, I'm talking about usable time. Actually, the time is not only the load time. When we focus on optimization, in the past, if you use a server side, everything is pop up in one time. Is one loading is show everything. But when you optimize the website in nowadays, we're talking about some client side stuff or some server side stuff. You can optimize to each stage. So the time 3 seconds that Jesslyn mentioned is first pane. You can be the first pane. First pane is you just show anything that not make the screen white to make the user know that it's loading. You can call it first pane. Second is a first content full pane. You can pane another thing is something. Yeah.
It seems like there is some noise coming from behind you. As if someone is typing. Can you just check what is the situation and see if you can somehow rectify it? We are getting some comments on YouTube, but your session's great so far. So
Okay. Actually, I'm on the rooms. Only one guy, so I try to look around. No one. I think I will try to not click on it. Okay.
sure.
Okay. First campaigns is talking about small thing, maybe image, low quality image. You can
Your video has gone out
user
again.
noise.
Your video has gone out again.
Okay. Okay. Okay, it's back.
Not yet.
It's back. Sorry.
Not yet for us.
Yeah. Not yet.
Maybe just cancel the screencast and come again. There are people on YouTube comments cheering for you. You can do it, Varat. Yes, come on.
I think it's. I saw my screen sharing is already. It's okay, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can.
Okay. Okay. Next stuff is a first meaningful pains. First meaningful pains is you just paint the text or any stuff that not need to interact on that to make the user read something lofty. Website ready active. Time active, that means the full of the stuff is loading. So this is all the user happiness metrics you can optimize. You optimize all like a one-shot renderings. You can do the step by step, make the user happy of that also. So before you understand, can optimize, you have to understand how the website render. So from the HTML and CSS,
Hi, Viraj, we have completely lost you now. We don't see your slides or anything else.
Okay, I'm back, I think. Okay.
Now it's good. Now it's perfect. Maybe
Okay.
you want to just go back three slides, and then start
Yeah.
again, please.
Okay. Sorry that if someone are here, but okay, this is a user happiness metrics. We have a first pain step, we have a first meaningful pain step, and we have the time to interactive step. So when you optimize, you not need to optimize your first render to have all of stuff. You can render step by step since first pain until time to interactive, because 3 seconds that Jesslyn mentioned is 3 seconds to first paint. So, but before you can optimize the website, you have to know the render. So for browser will read the HTML and change to the DOM, read to CSS, change to the CSOM, and combine together in the render tree and render to the layout and paint onto the browser. So in terms of JavaScript, browser will read the JavaScript, pass the JavaScript, and compile the JavaScript in one time. So if you saw the whole line of this, you see a lot of activity the browser do. If you make this step or the website will be is just simple theory. So this whole line is called critical render path. So the technique is optimize this. Optimize the critical, have a full main topic, collector of your critical path. Analyze what the render in the first time, how deep of your DOMs, how big of your DOMs. After that, a minimized number of the critical results like a CSS, HTML. Yeah, sometimes it make your website is not beautiful, but user focus on usage, not and a lot of the animation. So focus on the minimized number of that. Number of the code by that means basically it's just number of files, size of files in the critical part. Optimize order which remains the critical results are loaded. Focus on control the order of the renderings. What render first and what is render later, or what can render like in the future in the next 3 minutes. Something like a lazy loads or hide some stuff that make the user better for the first mode. So that's the first way to optimize. Secondly, optimize image. When you open any website in the world, there are a lot of the image on that. So image is a big stuff on the web. So you have to optimize that with any technique. First one, do the for the you can convert to WebP that the Chrome support already and Opera support already. So WebP is smaller than a JPEG. Basically, it's a 30% of that. Or something is not photo, you can convert to SVG and is smaller than JPEGs or anything. Image size appropriately. Sometimes you put a big image, but you use 100x 200 pixel. So please resize to 200 pixel x 200 pixel. Adapter in intelligent. You can set up the source of the screen. So when your user scale the screen, image will be changed to another endpoint. You can compress the image. You can prioritize critical image and lazy load that. there are a lot of the in the Webpack that have a plugin to help you to complete the image, convert to WebP or anything. So in the right now we have a lot of the tools. So don't do it manual. It's so labor. So web font optimization. One thing that delay the loading of the web is web font. So sometimes you don't need to this font in all you load in one time. So it makes your website bulk. So monitor your fonts use. Try to separate the format that you want to load, because in each browser is supported in different format. Some browser supports some format, but some browser not support some format. So you can go to the developer site, developer.google.com/web to see the which browser use which format. Specific the cache of the font, because sometimes I think everyone uses Google font, but if you use your fonts in your site, please cache it because it is so big. Font is a big stuff. I think it's an image, but it's more compact than the image. So last topic is about the loading APIs. Now in the browser, that do not need to put your font into the CSS. You can put into the JavaScript load when the website needs, not put it on the CSS, but you use it only one header or paragraph of that. As Jocelyn mentioned, we had to reduce the size of the asset. 170 KB is perfect size, because with the 400 kbps speed, within 3.4 seconds, you can serve the 170 KB of assets. Yeah, I know it's quite small, but I tried it already. It's possible. It's possible. Actually, if you see any case study like a Pinterest or Tinder, they can do it. So try to optimize your asset size, use mini files or ugly files or everything to build it. So actually, for the optimize the loading page, is have a lot of the stuff that you can do it. You can compose, you can cache, you can soaps, you can do a lot of the stuff. You can follow the slide that I put on the bottom. Actually, it's done by Google engineer named Eddie Osmani. He do this session named the fast by default. Actually, it's from my experience. You just follow that. It's make your website fast. Okay, summary of module 2. Sorry for technical problem today. But first thing, you have to understand your technical you optimize all and understand you make your website slow. So reduce the page size, reduce the asset loading. Reduce is techniques. Reduce the size, reduce the number of the page. And last one, focus on the user happiness metrics. You have a choice. You don't need to optimize to the 3 seconds with full rendering in first time. So next, I want to hand over to Win Lims for joining my modules. Win, thank you.
Thank you, Varat. Win, please take over for module 3.
All right. Hi, everyone. That's been a long stuff to digest. So I'm going to start with module 3. We'll be talking on creating an effective mobile UX. Let's move on. So just now Jocelyn mentioned before a little bit about UX, but I'm just going to do a quick recap on the UX. We know the differences of UI and UX roughly, but let's just go through with this example. Well, UI is a lot of time about the aesthetic of the product itself, and UX primarily concerned with the overall functionality of the product as a whole. Take this bottle from Heinz as an example. The glass bottle actually looks very beautiful, but it wasn't really desirable when you wanted to pour the ketchup out from the bottle. You have to shake it a little bit, and you punch the base. Just hopefully the coat of ketchup will spatter on your plates, which is rather difficult. Whereas on the other side, if you look at the plastic bottle, it's pretty simple and neat. All you have to do is really just to squeeze the bottle, and then the ketchup comes out effortlessly without making a mess. Now, that is an example of good UX. So, by having that said, let's look into what is a good UX principle for the mobile websites. For us to be able to understand the good principles, we have to look into their behavior. Mobile users are typically multitasking all on the go, so they usually have a very short amount of time completing a task, and they have a small screen. Designing for mobile must be able to cater to these unique needs. Hence, you must help your clients to delight their users and drive conversions by following effective design principles. So that is the simple summary, but let's go ahead to see the options we have. Accessing mobiles by being able to know the UX principles, we will look into the type of mobile sites that we have currently. Now, the three techniques we have is a responsive web design, dynamic serving, and also separate URLs. So basically, the differences is does this technique shows the URL, the URL is the same, or does it, and also does the HTML stays the same? Let's go into detail and look at these three types. It's actually called a separate site. The technique number one is called the separate site, which in usual case you will always see a website with a M domain at the front of the URL, or sometimes they have that mobile.facebook.com, for example. So this type of technique is actually useful if your client have a very different mobile-only experience versus desktop. So basically, you're actually building two websites. One is for mobile serving, and the other one is basically to serve to desktop traffics. The cons here is that you basically have to maintain two separate properties to, and then meaning to say you have two applications to update and also to maintain as well. So with that said, you also will be very difficult to maintain the consistency of the experience. Now, the second technique we have is actually responsive, or also in full, we actually call them responsive web design. This design is actually you have one code base and one URL for both desktop or even tablet and mobile interface. Now, the good thing here is that you really only have to maintain one single code base, but that also comes with a cons, which usually taking a slower loading time because you pretty much loads everything that is needed or not needed. Now, the third one is actually called adaptive design or dynamic serving. The dynamic serving is a little bit different from the rest by the server will actually differentiate the user agents, and if it's actually a mobile user agent, they will serve a user mobile sites, and then if actually a desktop traffic, they will serve a desktop site, and while maintaining the same URL itself. So by knowing these three techniques, these are the options we have. It allows us to decide which one of them is actually the best techniques for us. And honestly, there will be no best technique, but it's really depending on the situations. So in terms of from Google's perspective, Google actually does not favor any particular URL format as long as the page and all page access are accessible by the Google bot itself. So knowing this, we also wanted to look into the design principles of the mobile site. Now, Google and Answer Lab actually conducted a research study examining how a range of users interacted with a diverse group of mobile sites. The study itself actually uncovered about 25 mobile site design principles and grouped them into 5 categories. So today my part is basically about these 5 categories, and we'll go through them together one by one. Now, this category are basically homepage and site navigations, And then this next category is the site search. Next, we have commerce and conversion, form entry. Last and not least is the usability and form factor. So on homepage and site navigations. So a desktop page often serves as a welcome page with messaging centers, promotional space, and a lot of stuff, events and whatnot, all in one page itself. But in mobile site, we actually should really be focusing on connecting to the users to the content they are looking for, because as we mentioned before, they are usually very objective driven. They usually have lesser time, and they are usually on the go. So in this section, we'll really explore how we can actually understand these principles and building great mobile sites for the mobile users particularly. Now, the first and foremost, it has to is about keep call to actions front and center. In a conventional desktop site, you probably have a lot of information at one page, and then you basically let the user browse however they want. But it can be very easy for mobile users to miss menus items. So your clients should always put their key call to actions where user can see them. Is usually above the fold. So study has shown that participants had an easier time completing tasks on site that has a clear and very primary call to actions at the main body of the sites. And this is very important, particularly if your site has a specific objective to complete. Now, the next item is keep the menu short and sweet. So, there are some sites itself, they have very, very extensive category menu. But example, the e-commerce site, you have at least 20, 30 categories. And the last thing you want would be to actually show all this category in the menu item, because it would be very, very difficult for the users to browse through. So a good example would actually be to provide a few primary category which the user can browse through, and then once they go into the category, you can show furthermore if you feel there's a need to. But other than that, we always try to keep the menus short and sweet, because again, the users always have an objective to complete in a short period of time. The next item is about making it easy for the user to get back homepage. I'm not sure you have encountered this before, but I always do whenever I'm on a mobile site. I was browsing around, then I decided to go to homepage to complete an action, or maybe to make a purchase. I would click on tap on the icon or the logo of the mobile sites, and because that has become a very natural behavior that we expect from any good mobile site or even mobile applications. But the thing is, when you tap on it and nothing happened, then you feel, hey, what is this? So user really get frustrated a little bit. So there's actually a study, a participant actually shows that the participants actually already have expectation by tapping the logo of the page. It will actually bring the users back to the home page. So we will take note on this one as well. Now, as we mentioned before, for a desktop site, we tend to show a lot of information because we want the users to be able to see and consume as much information, and then let them make decisions where they wanted to go. That is where we always have promotional material together with other call to actions and whatnot. But in mobile site, because we have a smaller screen real estate, we really wanted to reduce promotional message at places where you have a very specific call to actions. So for the study actually showed for app promotions, participants actually prefer a way to easily dismiss as it's actually a dismissible promotion instead of the large promotional item blocking the screen itself. So that was about the homepage. Now let's look into the site search. So site search has been very helpful for mobile users to find what they are looking for in a hurry. Again, the same old thing. Mobile users are always in a hurry. They wouldn't be browsing the sites through in and out, because they always have these short micro moments using your sites. So let's talk about the tips and for maximizing the value for your site search. Now, making a search visible is pretty much a no-brainer, something that every user would have expected. And if you have a search, more likely they would try to search whatever they want through the search engine itself. So it's very important to position the site search near the top of your homepage with an open text field, so the users can actually get into it right away once they enter your page. Of course, more importantly, we wanted to ensure the site search results are relevant. Often not when we uses this search in a website, you try to search something and it came out most of the time things that is not relevant, and that can be a very frustrating experience. Myself, when I run into a situation like this, I will most likely leave the page and look for the other alternative solutions. And this is where you actually lose out experience. Because basically the mobile users don't really bother to swipe through all the multiple pages of search result. They wanted the result to be, always relevant to them. So at this point, at this juncture, is actually a very good suggestion to actually implement autocomplete and autocorrect misspelling here. So your search result would be very, very relevant to the user's expectations. Of course, searching it's helpful, but at the same time, search sometimes can be too wide. The area could be too wide to search. Now over here, in this topic, implementing a filter to improve site search usability is very, very helpful. Because these filters actually help users to get what they want from this search, but you can actually narrow down the search result, which will be much more easier for the users. So at times when you actually wanted for users to use the general search, there are also times where you can actually provide very what you call that, better segmentized filter for better results. For example, if you have a website that serves a diverse customer segment, it can be helpful to ask users a few questions before they actually search for any result. Like a large shoe shop, for example, it would be very good if you actually ask for their shoes, the type of shoes they want, and even shoe size, and then you show them the range of shoes that you have available. And this is where you actually leads to a better mobile user experience than a general search result itself. Now, so that was about site search, and the next sections or next category is actually on commerce and conversion. For commerce and conversion, the number one thing that we would like to talk about is the ability to let user explore before they commit. Now, there are a handful of mobile site or website that's available. Often make the mistakes of getting users to actually sign up before they can browse for information, or sign up before they can browse for stuff. So by placing registration gate too early in the site experience can actually be very bad for your conversion. So it is actually a very good idea to allow visitors to use your site first without having to register for an account. And when they feel like you're offering value, they would definitely sign up for an account. Also, a lot of time for ease of development, I must admit, but a lot of time for lack of considerations, we often have users to register first before they can purchase. And oftentimes you wanted to buy stuff, right? You don't really wanted to have an account with the seller, for example. You just wanted to buy stuff. So what you can do is actually you can allow users to actually convert them to buying first. Before, and then later stage, you can also encourage registration with tangible benefits. For example, by having users to buy a shoe with you, you would already have the users' email addresses without registering with you. But what you can do is, using back the same email address, you can reach out to them and say, hey, you know what, we have a new shoe this season, and I'm going to offer you a 10% discount after since you already bought once with us. Now, this would actually lead to a user come back, and then the user will realize, I have already bought a couple of times, might as well I get an account, so I don't have to do this whole process again and again. Now, that is a very good example of let user buy first and then convert later. You just finish the primary conversion and then the secondary conversion later. The next part is about using existing information to maximize convenience. The idea here is that we wanted to allow users to take advantage of information that we already have or they already provide to third-party services to actually reduce the to maximize the convenience for users. For example, by having Google sign in, you pretty much have the first name, last name, emails, and some of the basic information, which can be very helpful for the users. There are sometimes, for example, you can also do employ advanced techniques like whenever a user make purchases with you, you can actually store certain non sensitive information encrypted in the users at the client side, which can again be used by your site in the future. That would actually reduce the whole frictions for the users to come back and to use your site again. So there are times you actually are unable to convert a very complex task. For example, if you need consultation, you wouldn't want the users to fill up a long form just to get consultations. So there are other type of call to actions that you can use to convert this process. For example, you can provide a huge button by call for consultation, click to call for consultation, for example. So that would be very helpful for user because you will know that users is already on their mobile phone. So it makes the perfect sense for them to click to call and talk to you directly instead of having to fill up the whole huge and complex form. This is something that the participant would really appreciate based on the study that we have conducted that we mentioned about earlier. Now, we have talked about so many techniques, but there's also another thing that is very important for a mobile site, which is to make it easy to finish converting on another devices. So oftentimes we always wanted to convert users right there and then in your website, but there are things that user would wanted to consider before they can make purchase. Meaning to say, at this point when they are browsing your website, they couldn't make a decision yet, but they know they wanted to consider. So things like, for example, share this information to my own email, for example, or share this information to a friend, save my orders. Save to cart functionality is very important, which you can allow users to continue this journey when they are in a better situations, a better timing, or maybe they have returned to a desktop environment which they can perform better transactions, for example. So this is something that we have not been very on for the past time, but we felt that this is something that is very, very important to help you to convert the next tiers of conversion. So that was about e-commerce and conversion. Next, we'll talk a little bit about form entry. Form entry is really about how to help them to convert on the user's term. Now, number one will be about streamline information entry. Every time when they go to a website, when they ask for phone number, I tap on the phone number, the keypad pop ups, and I see a QWERTY keyboard, and I felt very frustrated. I mean, you're asking for my phone number. The only thing that I have to key in is phone number, right? Why are you serving me a full-size keyboard? At this point in time, it's very thoughtful and very. It's really for the best of the user experience that you offer a number pad for fields requiring number entry, for example. There are also other things like date entry and all that could be natively triggered on a mobile site. So these are the things that we can do. These are the little things that you do that users would felt, hey, it's very intuitive browsing through this site, and it's really a great journey, and I think I will come back again. It's a pleasant journey for. So there are also other consideration like choosing the simplest input method for each task. Now, it's very common for us to actually use a drop down for a gender, for example, male and female. This may not be the best example, but it's something that is on top of my mind. So if you have a gender for male and female, instead of having a drop down of male and female, you can actually just have a tab button to switch between male and female. This is just one example I can think of right on top of my head. But the point is, we will always try to consider which is the input method that makes sense on the mobile interface. Now, if you're going to offer a huge 12 months, if you're going to offer a huge list of countries to browse by selecting country, that would be rather unintuitive. For example, I came from Malaysia. I'm going to have to browse through the whole country list until M to find my country and tap into it. as a user, I would be frustrated myself. Now, what you can do is that you can actually pretty much already guess the user's locations based on a few factors. If we are able to offer intelligent enough, which is the country that most likely is the user's country, you can offer that as a default selections, and then you offer them to select other options. Other consideration like providing a visual calendar when selecting dates is very important, so users can go through this date selection very easily instead of filling up 2018-01-24. This is a very frustrating experience for users. There are on this part is really about minimizing form errors with labeling and real-time validations. As a developer myself, at times we really kind of, for ease of development, we'll just do a validation in the backend itself, and then we'll just return the error to the users once they run into validation error. But the thing is, from the user standpoint, I will submit again to the backend. Then the backend say, hey, you got a validation issue. Then I fix the validation issue. I submit again. And then the backend returns again, say, hey, there is another error. That would be a very, very frustrating experience for users. So for the best interest of user experience, that is something that we should avoid at all costs. Next is about design efficient form. Basically, what we wanted to do by in designing efficient form is to minimize the number of fields that your form needs and also allow autofill information whenever possible. A good example would be if you wanted to your users to register in your site, register for an account in your site, and then your user profile would have things like birthday, IC number, are you single or available, and whatnot. These are all non-important information. You can actually leave it for the later stage after user is signed up. You actually have a long forms that you necessarily you absolutely have to need the user to sign up. You can actually make it into a multi-part form, so users can fill the progress itself instead of having to go through a long form. That will let users felt that the thing is moving instead of I just have to go through a very, very frustrating long form. So yeah, there was a little bit of a form. That let's talk about the last part, is the usability and form factor. At the end of the day, we wanted to be able to optimize our entire site for for mobile friendly. We don't want to be browsing through some pages and then suddenly it pops into a full desktop size, and that would be a very bad experience for the user. Don't make your users pinch to zoom. So the reason about not making users pinch zoom, other than it's a very counterintuitive experience, it also tends to let user miss a very important call to actions, call to actions. Sometimes missing a very important messaging, and basically the whole experience is very, very cluttering and very bad. So make sure that you don't allow pinch to zoom in your mobile site. Make product image expandable. So a lot of time when we buy stuff, particularly in e-commerce, right, user really want to see high quality close-up of these products that they buy, and it's a very common and also a very appreciated features that you can allow users to tap on the image, and then you show them a full screen image which they can move around and see more clearly. This is pretty much a must-have features for a mobile site nowadays. There are times you may want users to change their screen orientation so you can show more information, and this is actually a good time. You can actually tell your users, hey, you know what, just change your orientation to landscape and can show you more than 3 selections instead of 2 selections at one time. So this is a very important communication you can deliver to your users. And then what we have is to keep your users in a single browser's window. There are times I've been to some sites, like whenever I tap on the button, it opens up a new tab, and I tap on the button again, it opens up a new tab again. That could be very frustrating experience, and consumer pretty much doesn't expect that kind of experience. So it's something that we would try to avoid. There are times when rare case you wanted to be able to offer desktop size to complete some processes that can only be completed in desktop size. But for the fear of losing out, we try not to label them full site instead, because the user would have this fear of losing out and mentality, and they thought, hey, there's a full site and may want to go to the full site. So it's actually a very good practice if you actually label them as desktop site instead of full site. So people are really just fear of losing out. This is pretty much the last tips that I can share, or the slides can share with you, is about be clear why you need the user location. There are times we actually ask for user location so we can recommend the nearest information for them. There are times we use the user location to help them fill out form faster and all that, which are generally helpful. But the thing is, if it does not give experience, it does not prepare the user's expectations, that would be very then the user would felt like offended and then most of the time they will actually just disallow the location, and then you at the end of the day you did not achieve anything. So always say, hey, you know what, find the location. When the user click on find near me, then only you pop up a permissions to ask for locations. Then the experience is more seamless, it's more cohesive. They will know, oh, why you actually ask for a location, instead of by just going to the website and then you straight away ask for permission for the location, and then the user will be like, hey, why the hell you need my location, right? So this is something that we often miss out as well, and it's good that we can talk about it today, and then we can remind ourselves about this. Now, having said that, all these things that you have done, right, you will really be unsure of is this effective or not, and is it working? So the very important component in this area is to actually test and measuring your success. How you can do that? Now, there are of course several methods to achieving this, but since we are in this talk, might as well we introduce some tools that we have available freely for us. So there's these tools called Google Optimize that allow you to test variant of your web pages to see how they perform against a specific objective that you would set. For example, you want users to sign up for a sales demo, and then you can experience through different journey to see how which of the layout that works better for your call to actions. Google Optimize actually the thing that the processes that we talk about is actually called A/B testing. Sometimes it's called ABM test. It's basically a randomized experience that allows two or more variants of the same website to be tested. I'm going to show you a page of this how this thing looks like. So, for example, if you actually have a website, you may want to try out the other variations, the other way of layout things, or the other call to actions, or even the other photos, and then you split your 50% of your visitors to variation A, and then you split 50% of your visitor to variation B. You can find at the end of the day, variation A result is actually 23% conversion, and variation B is actually 11%. And the variation A works. Let's stick with variation A, and then you go on and test other layout and test other creative or other call to actions. That's about A/B testing, and that can be done with Google Optimize. So, sorry, I've already covered the benefits. It basically allows you to test a new website design, new layout, also the content itself with a certain subset of your visitors. You can run experiment to test out with real-world user instead of making your own assumption itself. So by doing all these tests and all these optimizations, the only way you can know whether it's working or not is by analyzing your traffic itself. And I think I'm sure everyone here would already know what Google Analytics is. It's actually a tool that allows you to analyze all data from all touch point, one places throughout the website for allow you to understand the customer experience. So yeah, I tried as fast as I could to complete, so we don't take up too much of your time. But let's do a summary. At the end of the day, mobile users are very different, hence the experience should be retaught. We shouldn't be using the same desktop development thinking to build a website for mobile anymore. The first thing you should do is really to access your options, to find out what are your options. Number two, you then wanted to be able to understand the design principles and try to comply to them as much as possible. And then last but not least, by complying to these design principles, you may want to test and also measure your results to ensure whatever you've done are of great success. So thank you. With that, I'd like to pass the floor back to the module number 4, Trung.
Trung, take over.
Hello, everyone. You guys hearing me good?
Yes,
Is any problem?
perfectly.
Okay.
Go on.
Okay, so that was really a lot going through. Hopefully you are all keep up with the knowledge, but if you don't, then don't worry. All the slides here will be shared after the session, so you can take a look back and to read more by yourself. So in this module, I will talk about advanced web technology. Advanced web technology can help you a lot in terms of speed, UX, UI, and to engage with your user when you build not only mobile site but also desktop and web in general. Here I show may not be available yet in all browsers, but usually it will be Chrome and Chrome on Android. But yeah, there will be no problem for you to prepare for the future. So yeah, so let's take a look at this model. So we'll cover these three topics, which is accelerated mobile pages, AMP, the progressive web app, the PWA, and lastly, the advanced web APIs. For each of it, I will explain what it is and how it works at a high level so you can understand first. And then I will introduce the basic components of each technology and go a little bit further into the technical detail, okay? The first technology I want to talk about is the way to build web is AMP, accelerated mobile pages. It's a way to build web pages for static content that render fast. So please note that AMP is optimized for static content pages. So if you are building dynamic content pages like e-commerce website, or where the product information continuously change day by day, AMP may not bring a lot of benefits. But if your website is a news website or a blog post, most of your content are static. So AMP is a good fit and it brings a lot of benefits to your site. So what is AMP? So you may have seen this on Google search results sometime. The lightning icon with the text of AMP appear on the result of the pages that support AMP. When you tap into that result, there will be instant load. So some of you might experience this before, right? I always love to click into the result that have that lightning icon. And in my experience, I never have to wait for more than 1 second to load the AMP pages. This brings huge benefit to both of you as a website owner and for the user as well, as they don't have to wait. And that will bring a good impression of the website, of your website, to the user. So in the next time they will see your website on the Google search result, they will likely to go to your website instead of the other results. So how can they do this? How can we build a AMP page? So let's take a look at how it works. So in order to achieve that instant load, we need to achieve these targets. First, the page has to be delivered as fast as possible to the user. That means downloading the pages from your web server to everyone else in the world at the minimum latency. Secondly, when your pages have been downloaded, it has to be rendered fast. From the moment where the pages is downloaded, parsed, calculating the layouts, and running scripts, everything has to be fast. Yeah. So how can AMP can help us to do that? First, let's take a look at how we can deliver our page to the user as fast as possible. So this is how AMP work in terms of deliver your content, right? Imagine you have your current web page. It's just a regular web page like your blog post or a news article. AMP will provide a library so you can apply it to your website. So you can have your website can be optimized as much as possible with advanced technologies like page layout, image size, optimize the strip loading, font size, and animation and everything, right? We will go into the details of these techniques in the next section. For now, let's say that this is the AMP version of your website, right? So of course, your website has many pages. So each pages of your website, just assume that we have an AMP version of every pages, right? So when your pages have your AMP version, these AMP pages will be automatically collected by an AMP cache. AMP cache is a cache server hosted by Google. It detects AMP pages from Google search results, and cache it down to Google server, and then will be delivered to Google's content delivery networks. So yeah, it will look like this. With AMP cache, your AMP pages will be stored in multiple cache servers hosted by Google on multiple locations around the world. When a user access to your page, they will receive the page from the nearest server. This will ensure that the connection will be as fast as possible, and the page will be downloaded very fast to user, right? So that is how AMP and AMP cache can help you to deliver your AMP page to the user. And the second step, the next step, how AMP page can be rendered fast. So let's take it the techniques that AMP uses to make your page render fast. So that is called the AMP JavaScript library. When you adopt your web page to AMP, the AMP JavaScript library will handle the page for you, and it will apply all the best practices and optimizations to make sure that your page will be rendered as fast as possible. Some of the techniques is shown in this slide. For example, the AMP JavaScript library only allow asynchronous script. That means there will be no script blocking the rendering. And if you want to have some dynamic content in your page, you are going to use AMP components for dynamic content, like navigation menu. When you click into the menu and it bring out a pop-up or a menu for something. And it only allow you to have very strict custom script. Like you cannot write every JavaScript you want in this, because your script may affect the speed of the page. So they are very strict about what script you can use and what to not use, right? On the sizes of the resources are statically. For example, you have an image on iframes. All the sizes of the image have to be identified before the page is loaded. That's by that the page can be calculated the layout before the content can be downloaded, and that is very important to the render path of an AMP page, right? So when the page load, you don't have that kind of animation where the page layout just blinking and some image loading and it will push the whole content down to the screen. That thing will not happen in AMP pages, because all the sizes of the image and the ads will be calculated before the page resources have been downloaded. Remember that. And AMP page doesn't let extension work. Some of your extension may not work in AMP pages, and if your extensions, the Chrome extension, for example, have some script to block the rendering path, AMP page will have some mechanism to block that. So your extension will not affect the loading path of AMP, right? And it keeps all the third-party JavaScript out of the critical path. That means all the script that you provide, it will be loaded asynchronously. It's not going to block the DOM rendering process, right? There's more. All the CSS must be inline and size bound. That means the CSS has to be inside the HTML. You should not provide an external HTML external link to the CSS file, because that may increase the number of requests when the user enters the page. And the size of CSS is limited to be less than 50 kilobytes, which is a very strict size. It's not very much, so you need to really careful select what kind of CSS that you need for the page to make sure that it will less than 50 kilobytes and load fast. And it will be efficiently load web forms. So I mentioned that all the scripts are loaded asynchronously. So as soon as the page loaded, the phone will start to load. There will be no HTTP request need to wait before the phone can start downloading. And it also minimal the style calculation. As I said, all the sizes are already defined in the source code, so there will be no and less style recalculation in the process of rendering the page. And don't read write order to be optimized to reduce the style recalculation per frame. And all the animation that provide in AMP that library will be optimized for GPU accelerated. That means all the CSS properties that they're going to be used as an animation, it will be effective. And for you, you don't really need to go on of this have been handled by AMP.js library and the AMP components. So if you are using the standard components provided by AMP, it is guaranteed to be fast. Two last points. Prioritize resource loading. That it only load what it needs to render the page at the first paint. Everything else will be lazy loaded. That means if you go into the first page, and if you think that you are going to go into the second page, it will download first the content of the resources of the second page, and to load that lazily. That means when you click into it, it will load the unnecessary resources, and it load page instantly with the pre-connect API. The pre-connect API is an API that allows you to make the HTTP connection first to the server or the TCP connection first. So when you click into the link or click into the next page, it will load instantly. There will no need to wait for a new connection to be made. That's a very technical detail of it. So yeah, that pretty much the things about AMP. So with AMP, the thing you need to remember is what is it and how is it working. And about the AMP components, the components include the AMP HTML, which is the component that you are using, the AMP JavaScript library, which handle every performance and optimizations, and the AMP gate, which is the three important components of AMP. And you should understand how it works. So to have an understanding of it will be better for you to when you build AMP pages. The next thing I want to talk about is progressive web apps, short for PWA. So PWA is a set of web features and web APIs that bring the native mobile application experience to your web pages. That means you can do things that a web page usually cannot do, but a native app can. Like you can install your web page to home screen and have it look like a native app, right? When you tap onto the icon on the screen, your web page will run in full screen, and there will be splash screen when the page is loading. Totally look like a native app to me, right? And with the new technologies, your web page can now have much more ability to engage with the users with the features like offline usage and push notification. We will go through this later on. So a progressive web app is a web app that reliable, fast, and engaging. It's reliable because it can stay on your home screen whenever you want it. You can open it right from your home screen, and it works even you are not having internet connection. It's fast because it has technology like Service Worker, and when you combine with AMP, That is a very smooth flow when you enter from the Google search result to your page, and from AMP switch to progressive web app. So that is really fast, and also provide you a smooth animation. And about engaging, it has cool feature like it runs in full screen. There's no browser address bar. Sorry. And it has push notification which can bring user back to your application when they are not opening the app, right? Okay, so how can some of the technology that work in progressive web app can be done? Let's see. Firstly, how can we make a web app work offline? So I would like to introduce you the new web features, which is service worker. Service worker is the core component of a progressive web app. Let's see what a service worker can do. So, so this is a traditional request and response model, right? You're a developer, so you may see this familiar. A web page send a request to server, and then the server return the response back. And so, service worker is a web API that comes inside the browser. It is inside the browser, and it acts like a browser network proxy. When installed, it can manually handle all the requests and the responses come from a web page. That means we can catch every request that a web page sends out, and then we can decide to send that request to the server, or we can return whatever we want as a response to the page. That is the power of service worker, that is to interpret the request from the web page, right? So let's see. How can we use service worker to make our web work offline? So at the first time, when user go to a website, we use service worker to send the request to the internet and get the response, right? But before we return the response to the website, we catch it down in the Catch API. Catch API is another API that comes with service worker that it can store your request and response inside the browser locally. And yeah, after you catch the response to the Catch API, you can return the response back to the web page. And then on the subsequent visits, if there is no connection, you can totally use the service worker to read the response from Catch API and return that back to the web page. There's no need to go out to the internet at all. So that is how we can use service worker to achieve offline usage in a web page, right? Okay, so this API, the Catch API, some of you may misunderstand it with the old browser Catch or the server Catch, right? This Catch API is stored locally inside the browser, and you have totally full control and access to this Catch storage. So it's really different with the server Catch or the browser Catch, where you have time-to-leave stuff, and you need to invalidate by changing the invalidate time. This is different. So you can read it anytime, you can delete it anytime. In short, full control, right? So it will bring you a lot of benefit in terms of you can access it faster, and you can be more flexible on your caching strategy, right? So there's a lot of usage to service worker. You can use service worker to do pretty much of things, but in this slide, I will only to mention about the usage of it to make a website available offline, and to use push notification later on. You can check out all the uses of the service worker on official website of Google, the developer documentation page. Okay, so one important thing about service worker is its life cycle. So you can see in this diagram, so you will know how the service worker works from the moment it is installed to a web page. So remember that service worker is not always running. It's not always running. In order to make it run, you have to register it to a web page, to a specific web page, And after you register it, it will enter the state where it is called installing. The first state is installing. After install, it will be activated to the current open page. Like you have a tab open, a browser tab open your page, it will be activated in that tab, right? And then you switch to the idle state. During this state, it can start to handle fetch and events, which is you can start to catch requests here and to send response back in this stage, right? And when it is not used, like you close the tab or you close the browser, or just the page is not open there anymore, user click and redirect into another website, right? The service will be terminated. It will be terminated. So every data from you store in service worker file, and it will be activated back when the user enter to the page. It will be reactivated, right? So that's it. Pretty much you need to know about the service worker lifecycle, and remember this is very important because it will help you a lot when you're writing code for service worker. And yeah, service worker in summary, it's a JavaScript worker. So like other worker, web worker, it cannot access the DOM directly, but you have to communicate with the service worker via port messages, and it uses promises. You may be familiar with promises. The API is using promises, so it's really easy to use. It's running background, separate from a web page, and it supports push notification and back browsing. Back browsing here is another animal that I will share more later on if you are interested. But yeah, you can read that on the document. It's very much document in there in the internet. And it acts like a programmable network proxy. Remember that? And it is terminated when it's not in use and restarted when it's not needed. That means when you open the page, it will be activated. When you close the page, after some time, it will be terminated, right? Clear? Okay. That is all about service worker. The next thing about browser web app is the app shell. So with the offline usage and the GET API from service worker, there is another technique that makes sure that we can make use of it. That is the app shell. The idea of app shell is you want to separate the code of your application into two parts. The first part is the core infrastructure of the app, including the shared UI components that are reusable between many pages, right? The second part is actually the data that you need to load from the server every time you visit a page. So the strategy is you will cache the first part in the cache API locally, and if possible, make it available offline, so you don't even need internet for that. So when you switch from one page to another page of the app, you don't need to re-download everything again. You just to download the dynamic part of the application, the data part, and they will make the transition between pages really fast because there's less data to load, right? For example, in this application, we can separate the component like the header, the placeholder, and the navigation bar, and to put it in local cache. The actual content here is the article about the cat, which we need to load from server. So this will also have the user to have a first look at the app, even when the data have not been loaded yet, right? Keep the user staying longer in your application. So keep in mind that if you are building PWA, you should use app shell to make the transition between pages in your application faster and provide a better user experience to the users. And there are critical criteria you should take to look at the design when you design the app shell, right? What needs to be on the screen immediately so user can have something to look when they wait for the data to load. And what are the UI components that you are using across the pages, and what are the resources that you need for specific pages. Yeah, These are the considerations you should need to when you design the app shell. Okay, so the next thing is about web app manifest. Web manifest is a JSON file. It's the JSON file that provide information about your progressive web app. Like it will provide app names, icons, primary color of your ad, and so on, right? So when you have your app, your web app manifest defined, the browser like Chrome or Firefox will detect it and provide more awesome features to your web page, like the one you are seeing, like these features. Okay, so if you want to take a look at the JSON file, it will look something like this. You can see the app name, the icons in various sizes, the URL, and some configuration. And you want to embed this manifest to your website, you create a link tag and put it in your header, right? Okay, so web app manifest will make your web app behave like a native app by some feature like at the home screen. If you run at full screen, you will have your splash screen when the app is loading. And if you are using an Android, that when you add your application to home screen, it will behave just like a native app on Android system. Like you can uninstall it, or you can see the memory usage on the process page. Just same. Okay, so that is almost everything about PWA. PWA itself has much more to learn than what I have mentioned here. So I encourage you guys to go to explore more on the documentation to learn and to try progressive web app. Here is a quick summary I copy from the internet to this slide. So you don't need to read it now. You don't need just to give you a reference you can take a look at, and when you look at this slide later on, you can have a reference. For now, remember the important part of PWA, which are service worker. You should know how it works, and the service worker life cycle. The web app manifest have you to turn your web page into a something like more native app, and add more feature to your website, like add to home screen, app icons, and stuff. And the app shell, which you should understand how it works and how it could help you to navigate between pages faster. And the last one I want to mention is the advanced web APIs. So these APIs are really not available for all browsers, but for now, push notification and payment requests are the new API that you can try right now on Chrome and on Android, Chrome for Android. So I will give you a very high understanding of these API, because I don't want to go too detailed about technical, because it's a high potential that will be changed in the future, right? So web push notification is a new web API that allows us to send notification directly from user device via browser. To be specific, service worker is the one that handles push notification. If some of you work with push notification on native apps before, you may see this diagram familiar. When you want to send a push notification, you will send a request to a cloud message service, like for example, Google Cloud Message, GCM. Then the device will receive the push notification and give it to the app to control it, right? So with web push notification API, the notification will be sent to the browser inside your device. In this case, in this diagram here, it will be Chrome, and Chrome here will give the notification signal to service worker, and service worker will basically wake your website up, right, from wake your website up. Sorry a little bit. I will need to pause a little bit. Okay, I'm here. Okay, sorry about that. Let's continue. So where we were, the notification will be passed down to service worker, and the service worker will leave that to our web page. Basically, wake the web page up and tell her to handle the notification. So for example, in this slide, you will see notification from Facebook, but not from Facebook native app. It's from web browser. If you look closely, there's a small icon over here that indicate that this notification is come from Chrome. This is Chrome icon. If you zoom out the image. Okay, so important thing to remember about push notification. It come with service worker. Without service worker, you cannot have push notification, and it will receive push notification from Google Cloud Message, just like native apps. And the push message will you can send push message to the device browser via service worker. This is something I already mentioned, right? So if you want to take a look at the code inside the service worker, this is a little bit of code. You can see it's handling the push event and basically composing the notification method. The methods show notification with the information, and that will bring out the notification in your device. Here's a live example I take from Google developer website, so you can try it right now on Android devices. Sadly, iOS devices is not supported yet, but hopefully in the future, maybe. Okay. So I would mention a little bit about how you should design your notification, right? Because it's kind of important. So when you design your notification, so please remember 3 criteria. It has to be timely. That notification has to be arrive on time. You don't want to notify your user about an email that you have received like 3 days ago or something, right? It has to be precise. But if you have any number to be specific, you have to list it out to tell the user. Like your phone, you have 3 emails waiting for you to read. The number 3, it has to be specific. It will help user a lot, and it has to be relevant. That the message it must be about you, and it provide information for you. I don't want to know a notification about someone else doing something else that is not really relevant to me at all. Okay, so that's how you should design your notification. And the last one, payment request API. This is I could say the development of this API is still going on, right? So it's very new. Not all browsers supported, only Chrome, and maybe you have to use Chrome currently to use it. Okay, so what is payment request API? So remember, it's not an e-wallet. It's not an e-wallet at all. It's not a payment platform, and it's not holding your money in any way. So payment request API is a system that meant to eliminate the checkout forms. What does that mean? It means when you go in the checkout process in, for example, an e-commerce page, it will help you to collect payment information from the user and store that inside the browser locally. And when you do the checkout in any web page, it will provide payment information for the vendor or for the service itself, so they can do the checkout for you, right? So this API, this payment API in real world usage, you can see this is a pop-up from Chrome browser. In this example, user is adding items to cart and then check out. As you can see, there is a pop-up from browser appear with the information already filled in. This information is filled before and is stored in the browser. So if you are making a payment on another website, you will not need to enter everything again, right? That is the main target, the main goal of the payment API. So let's take a look at the payment pop-up. There's not only information about your credit card, but also the shipping address and order summary and other fields that you can customize, but not shown in this slide. So you can read more about that in the document. But in this slide, you can see the total order, shipping address, and payment methods, right? So all of this information is stored locally in your browser, just like you use the autofill to remember your password. No one can access this information without your permission. Okay. The payment request API is also provide a method to work with third-party e-wallet system. Like in this picture, you can see in the last line, there's a pay, Android Pay, and one more. That's which means you can optionally select Android Pay to pay for your order, or you can use your credit card to pay for your order. So remember, this is on Web API, which means it cross on browser and platform. Just that right now it's not quite ready, but just to give you some motivation, this is the pop-up from Chrome, right? And this is a pop-up from Microsoft Edge. That is a signal from Microsoft that they are already interested in implement this API. And in the future, maybe Firefox and Opera and even Apple with Safari browser, they can all implement this and make our life easier as a developer and a user as well. Okay, so pretty long, huh? That is all I need to tell you about module 4. So in summary, these are the critical point you need to remember. The accelerated mobile page AMP. You need to know about AMP components and understand how it works. Professional app. Remember about service workers, how it works, and the life cycle of service worker. Web app manifest. What features it add to your web app, and the app shell. About advanced web API, you need to remember about the payment request API and the push notification. Yeah, so that's all for my time. If you have any question, please note it down for the Q&A session after this, or you can comment that in the YouTube comment. All of us will try to answer as much as possible. So now I will hand over to Mani. Mani?
Thank you, Trung. I hope all of you can see my slides now. All right, I wanted to share my heartfelt thanks to Varat from Thailand, Trung from Vietnam, Jesslyn and Vin from Malaysia for sharing their expertise on how to solve and do well in the mobile sites examination. Thank you for spending hours together in compiling these slides and helping your fellow developers in Southeast Asia. Apart from that, just for fun, I had to say this. We are improving so much on AI, but it is still embarrassing to say that AV still fails. I'm sorry. Sometimes internet and connectivity can be a little hard, but we thank you for persisting and still continuing to watch without losing hope. Thank you for joining us, everyone, online. I think this was a big success. We didn't expect such a big turnout. Thank you again. Again, final tips for your examination. Nice thing, the mobile site certification can be taken right away. You can do it anytime from anywhere. All you need to have is an internet connection and a desktop or a laptop from where you can answer the entire examination. So how do you basically do that? Oh yes, if you wish to thank the speaker, please write a little note to them saying thank you, and they'll be very happy. Going forward towards the final tips. Quick recap. These slides cover the material very well, but at the same time, you can also read the exam study guide in the link below. This is just pure text running for several pages together. So you could read that in case you are not a guy who wants to read slides. Examination, I said, is free, and a digital certificate is provided immediately by Google after you pass the examination. And the criteria for pass are very clear. You need to score over 80% in the 65 plus 65 multiple choice questions or true or false questions within a 90-minute window. Steps to take the exam. Where is the exam? It's very clear on this page, landing.google.com/academy for ads. And on that one, you basically have several courses. Mobile site certification is one of them. So it's down at the bottom of the page currently. And from there, you can basically select mobile site certification. Take up the exam. It's just a matter of 90 minutes at the max, and definitely a certificate from Google, we hope will go a long way for all of you. After passing the exam, in case you basically attended this training with the help because you were told by a GDG, tell him thank you and maybe share the certificate. They'll feel happy that you basically got a certification because of some of the effort that they did. In case you didn't pass, you can do retake for the entire examination after a small break period. All right. Again, good luck for your exam. Thank you so much. And in case if you have any questions, you can always, in the next 5 minutes, maybe you can add some questions in the live chat. But that's it for today. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you very soon. Bye.